Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in. Today, we're going to be looking at Bitcoin, its value against the US dollar, and how all ships rise in a rising tide. Remember, if you do like this video and the other videos that I make on this channel, be sure to hit the like button down below and also consider subscribing. What do I mean by that? All ships rise with a rising tide. Well, the analogy is that Bitcoin is the tide. Um, it is the ocean, and the little ships that are floating on it are altcoins. And when Bitcoin rises, in this case, altcoins begin to outpace Bitcoin, gain more than Bitcoin. We can see that Ethereum's up one and a quarter percent against Bitcoin. Bitcoin is up 4.71%. Therefore, the US dollar valuation of Ethereum is up about 6%. Same thing with Chainlink. Chainlink is one of the leaders for today, up 18% against the US dollar compared to 4.5 by Bitcoin. Cardano up 15% against the US dollar. Litecoin up 9, etc., so on and so forth. And in most cases, I would say when Bitcoin is rallying like this, if it has any momentum with it, much like what we saw during the period of September all the way to the end of 2020, we see that Bitcoin was rising. Now, their US dollar valuations of altcoins also rose, but their Bitcoin valuations depleted. What makes it so different now, where we see that altcoins are not only rising against the US dollar, but against Bitcoin as well? One theory is that it is the momentous swing. So, say you're swinging on a swing set and you swing up, right? Bitcoin swings up and carries everything else. But that elasticity or momentum goes the other way eventually, swinging back. And I would attribute this for the past 3 weeks or so, where Bitcoin has been dropping like a rock, and it's a pretty big drop. Okay, this is not the ones that we saw at the beginning of the year, from January to February, where it was a 30% correction. No, this is more of a 50% correction that we experience, larger than most. And so, with that momentous swing to the downside in a short amount of time, there is the momentous swing back up. I would advise, though, I believe that this momentous swing to the upside will not be as big as the swing down. Okay, some momentum is lost when the weight transfers to the other direction, and in this case, with Bitcoin going to the upside. However, because of this momentous swing, because of the situation we're in, speculators begin to believe that we are going to pass the 20-week moving average. We're already up 15, almost 16% on the week for Bitcoin against the US dollar. We're currently trading at $40,000. The 20-week moving average is at 48,725. If people believe that we are going to break the 20-week moving average in such short fashion, okay, in a span of 3 or 4 weeks, if this week we close around here, the following week we have another pretty good week, then people will start, then the reality of breaking the 20-week becomes more of a reality. And because of that, people load up on alts, because we know when Bitcoin's above the 20-week moving average, alts do better than when Bitcoin is below the 20-week moving average, generally speaking. So you could say that people are front running when they see these moves, um, and you can kind of attribute that to almost the daily, on the daily chart. You can remember this past weekend with these momentous swings. I mean, of 10%, 8%, 14% down, 11, 12% up. You saw that all coins were also heavily affected by Bitcoin's price when it's to the upside or the downside. More so, I would say it's being affected more so than when Bitcoin was above the 20-week moving average. And I think it's because of the proximity of the 20-week moving average. We're not we're far away. We're about 17% down below the 20-week moving average. But having said that, it's attainable, right? You see a 15% move up, you see a 16% move up for the week, and another 17% down. That seems kind of possible. It seems attainable. And with that, altcoins tend to benefit from that. I would advise caution though. I am being very cautious. I am very skeptical of this move. And there is a chance that it does break. I'm not saying that it's going to be false. What people are saying of a pretty quick recovery. I'm not saying it's false, but I'm not going to bet my portfolio on it because the likelihood of it actually playing out that way is small. Okay. My theory on what I think may happen is that we see a continuation of this move up. We'll hit the 20-week moving average and get rejected. Um, and that is one scenario. Another scenario is that we come back down from here, right? It doesn't have to go up to the 20-week moving average, but I would say that if days like today continue on, where things are pretty bullish on the day, and sentiment is the same, where um, people believe that Bitcoin will get back above its 20-week moving average and altcoins will get to new all-time highs. Bitcoin will put up a new all-time high. This kind of thinking is not good. I mean, people have to understand that nothing always has to play out like you say. And we always have to have some degree of skepticism on any outcome, on any scenario, even my scenarios. I'm actually I'm the most skeptical and try to poke the most holes in what I believe. Um, there's the saying of, like, if you have a theory, if you have a belief, uh, do your best to try to break it, right? Try to poke as many holes in your theory and see how well it holds up. So with that said, today's a good day. Maybe a bit of relief for a few of you coming from the weekend, but I would advise to take extreme caution. Take it as it is, just a move below the 20-week moving average. I would expect people to between here and the 20-week moving average, people will experience some FOMO here. And it's the FOMO of buying the dip. Because technically, we're still in a dip. If you buy here compared to 3 weeks ago at closer to $60,000, you're buying the dip. And so this FOMO of people waiting to see if the prices will go lower, and it doesn't, and so people will start buying in, and I will think that will be enough to get it back to the 20-week moving average, and potentially get rejected. I mean, there is the scenario that we break, right? If we break through the 20-week moving average, then we're back in business. But I don't think there has been a scenario like that in Bitcoin's history, where it came below the 20-week moving average, came back up, and was able to hold it, right? We see a lot of instances like 2017, like you see here. We immediately break down, but we come back up, and this green weekly candle was February 2018. I remember this green weekly candle. This was the hopium. This was the belief that Bitcoin's going to make it back up. This is the recovery. No, 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 no. We got rejected from the 20-week moving average and came back down. Um, other scenarios. I mean, you could see every time we break below the 20-week moving average, it needs time to get back up. Albeit even smaller. Again, another scenario: we break below, come back up, get rejected off the 20-week. Here, come back down. There is a green weekly candle the following week, right? 21% green day, green week, but we ultimately get rejected off the 20-week moving average, and it takes us more time to get back above it. So, what I'm trying to say here, folks, is that Bitcoin will eventually get back above it. Will it be this week or next week? I highly doubt it. This has never happened in Bitcoin's history. It could happen, and it's entirely possible. But my bet is on the previous instances. And I my portfolio is weighted in such a way for that, right? If I have if I've become very Bitcoin heavy. The most Bitcoin heavy I've ever been during 2021 and in late 2020, where my where in those instances I was pretty altcoin heavy. I was reaping the benefits of altcoins, and in here, in the last few months, I've been trading off my altcoins for Bitcoin, becoming Bitcoin heavy in anticipation of some kind of test of the 20-week moving average. I did not expect a break of the 20-week moving average, but at least because my portfolio going into it was already Bitcoin heavy, I mitigated my risk to some degree. It could have been a lot worse. So just a small reminder that being Bitcoin heavy in certain situations is a good thing. When things are going great, sure, you can lessen your Bitcoin position in exchange for risk in altcoins for a higher return. But at some point, it's a good idea to trade off those altcoins for Bitcoin in anticipation for some kind of dump. And in this case, it was a 2 week dump of about 40%. So that's kind of what I am foreseeing in the short term. I foresee days like today, like as long as we're below the 20-week moving average, I foresee days like today where Bitcoin is up 4 or 5% and altcoins are really shooting up. People will start thinking that this is that we are able to break it. We're going to break the 20-week moving average. And then the next day we crash. Um, let's see if I can, like I think I've seen this with Chainlink to some degree, where if we can line it up by the day. So yeah, I mean you can see the momentous swings. I mean like May 24th, Bitcoin is up 12%. And this is when Chainlink went up 19%. We saw a 5% day yesterday with a no trend scenario Bitcoin. And then today we see a 5% gain on Bitcoin. And then we see the big green candle from Link of 13%. Alternatively, you see the dump of 14% by Bitcoin and a 28% dump by Chainlink. And then the following day, 10% on Bitcoin, 5% on Link. And then, the following day, 8% down on Bitcoin, down 9% down on Chainlink. The daily moves are huge. Like it's insane, and this is why the previous video I made, that volatility is just too much to bear for me, at least on Bitcoin, to be thinking of buying within these prices, because we're going up and down so dramatically. It's hard to make um any kind of assumption here. We know that this week is good. We're up 16% on the week for Bitcoin. And the discussions of getting back above the 20-week moving average have already happened. So, and the idea of a speedy recovery is already being talked about. And so I think this is kind of the another analogy I'll throw in. If you guys have seen Chernobyl, the HBO miniseries. Great miniseries, by the way. But there's a moment in time where they're talking about the effects of radiation. And there is in between the death and first getting symptoms of radiation poisoning, there's going to be a time where the patient, the victim, seems to be getting better. In fact, they're feeling fine. Um, Following that, though, is excruciating pain, the death of the cells of the skin of the body, and ultimately death. Um, I think at this moment right now, where Bitcoin is to the 20-week moving average, is going to be this period that things are starting to look better. You can also refer it to as a bear trap. This could be a bear trap where things are starting to get better. I mean, 16% on the week is great. And we're back at $40,000. Um, things are starting to get better. We're about to cross the 20-week moving average. People buy in at that moving average, thinking that this is going to be the line that Bitcoin will hold, and we're not going to go further down for the rest of the bull market below the 20-week moving average. Buy in. And then Bitcoin gets rejected. Bitcoin gets rejected off the 20-week moving average. We potentially create a lower low than $30,000, and the not necessarily a bear market, but this retracement, macro retracement, continues forward in the sense that there is another level down, and this is the sign that we are going to stay below the 20-week moving average for a considerable amount of time. So my conclusion here is don't do anything rash. I'm not doing anything rash. I am patiently waiting for a lower low if we get it. If we get a lower low, great. Open my long. This is where I'm going to open another futures contract. This is where I would buy more Bitcoin. It's probably the time where I start accumulating altcoins again. At least to start. The start of DCAing into the altcoins that I want to accumulate, like Chainlink and Tezos. It is at that time where I start to make a move. Until then, I wait. If Bitcoin continues on up and it's not a bear trap, we do not suffer a rejection off the 20 week, and in fact, we break it, and it is a V shaped recovery or a fast recovery, then that's fine. Don't feel like you need to be at the very bottom for every trade, and don't think that you need to um go all in on altcoins or on Bitcoin. My portfolio is heavily weighted in Bitcoin, but I'm still somewhat exposed to the altcoins that I talk about: Ethereum, Chainlink, Uniswap, Basic Attention Token, Litecoin, XRP, and Tezos. I still have those positions, and I'm still exposed. So if Bitcoin does go above the 20-week moving average, then that's okay. We continue on as we always have, looking at the charts day by day and assessing. Maybe if at that point, I would then consider reallocating my Bitcoin back into altcoins because we're on the rights on the better side of wrong. I hope I'm wrong, because a sub 30,000 Bitcoin, or even getting back to $30,000, was not fun. But um, it is a scenario that's entirely possible and something that we should all consider. That is all for today, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Take care. Bye bye.